broadcasting is what you
How's
said.
it going? What question were you talking about?
Yeah, what question are you talking about?
Oh, Junior was saying that he was wondering if we'd already put out the shows live, like the stream already.
Oh, okay.
The
So you want to
second one
start
live
there?
stream. Yeah, and well, yeah, where you, why you were asking that question,
All right, cool.
and then we'll go from there.
We're already live.
Well, you tell us, Junior. Why were you why were you asking us this question?
Well, my question initially was if we started posting any of these videos or these podcasts yet. I was wondering because I was saying some bullshit last time about Nicki Minaj being from Africa, and Lo had to put me in my place over here, mentioning that she's from New York, or she was raised in New York at least. And yeah, I was just basically that. Like, where do we go in the editing process, or do we just let it ebb and flow with mistakes like that?
Well, first off, Lo is wrong. She's Indonesian. No, I'm just fucking with you.
Nah, she's Trinidadian. She's Trinidadian.
But no, we put them out there. If there's a real need for an edit, we can edit after the fact. And if people want to hate on us, bring it, because it brings popularity. Clickbait, motherfucker.
I'm not into this whole fact checking shit. We just talk out. We fucking talking. If we're wrong, we're wrong. Mm-hmm. Correct ourselves later. Give a fuck.
Yeah, that's a real problem. People aren't human.
We live in a culture where people are too afraid to be wrong.
Yeah, no shit.
And when you are wrong, you are demonized. If fucking if Malcolm X lived today, he would never be Malcolm
X. That's
true.
Why?
Because of all of the shit that he was spreading was false? I don't think so.
No, because of who he was before he became Malcolm X.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
They'd be like, oh, you ain't nothing but a pimp, man. You got a white woman and everything. You get the fuck out of here.
That's true.
He would be fucking, yeah, he'd be booted. But anyways, where we went with that though was getting interesting with the female rap artists
and their over sexualization and how they're sold that way.
Yeah, because the shit with Nicki Minaj isn't true. Remember, Nicki has been fighting off of what's her face for a long ass time, Little Kim.
Yeah.
Well, definitely.
And I'd say Little Kim changed the whole game, really. I mean, that wasn't to say that there wasn't, for lack of a better term, adult content or sexualized content in hip hop. You know, like all we gotta think about before Little Kim is remember how Salt and Pepper looked one way, and then they looked another way in their video. Like it was like a year change. All of a sudden,
even that their biggest hit is Push It.
Yeah, but
now good.
But I'd say Little Kim changed the game because she totally turned into that shit. You know, like that became her whole shit, as opposed to just a piece.
Yeah, and then you had her and Foxy Brown, but there's actually been quite a few good lyrical female hip hop artists.
My favorite is Sister Souljah.
Sister Souljah?
Yeah,
let's run down top fives. Let's do top fives. Junior, you go.
Shit. Skip.
All right, I got mine.
Mine's an old school list. That's all I know.
I got Heather
B. Hold on. Let me go number one at least.
Okay, go one.
I gotta go with Lauryn Hill.
Okay,
that's a good pull right there.
Let's go over.
That's my number one for sure.
That's your number one?
Come back to me on the rest.
I can agree with that. No, we could just do one-on-one. I'll go Lauryn Hill. I'll match you with that. What about you, Anthony?
Yeah, actually, before he mentioned that, I was gonna say just as a tip of the hat to the OGs, I was gonna say MC Lyte, but you're right, man. Like Lauryn Hill, I would put Lauryn Hill at the top. Specifically, even because it still lives in my memory, is that freestyle she did on Showtime at the Apollo. That's what won me over is with her fucking rhyme abilities.
Well, I'm sure we've mentioned this like a million times already, but Miseducation, oh man.
Yeah, that's a
Which
classic.
she's,
Oh
which,
man.
You know,
which,
she just did a concert out here yesterday, Junior.
yeah, you just missed it,
Oh yeah?
fools.
I almost went to. It
Yeah.
was only $75.
Only
Yeah, well, that was the problem right there. It was only
way
75.
worth it though.
Hella worth it.
It would have been what? It's like, is that like $15 a song?
Yeah.
Give or take a song.
But yeah, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, that shit changed the game right there. That's still my
Yeah.
favorite album.
Number two, I would put, at least on my list, I would put Missy Elliott, actually.
We're going backwards.
Well, yeah, we didn't. You started with number one. You said Lauryn Hill, and I agree with that.
So we have
We have
Roxanne Shante. Put her in the mix.
Who?
Roxanne Shante.
Roxanne Shante.
I know who that is.
Yeah, you do.
Who is that?
That's Roxanne. She did the remix to the Roxanne song.
I don't know who that is.
You haven't seen the Netflix Roxanne?
No.
Oh man, if you haven't seen that, you're slipping.
The documentary?
No, it's like it's a movie or a series. I don't remember it, but I think it's a movie.
All right, I'm gonna check that out. But we're getting off topic.
Yeah, I'll check that out too myself. So, all right. So you say an unnamed MC? Well, I'm sorry, unknown MC, unfamiliar MC that we don't know. Who's your number 2, Low?
You go Missy Elliott. Missy Elliott's definitely on mine, but number 2, I'll say Brat. She's definitely one of my favorites of all time.
She hella got spars.
Yeah. Great bars. Chi-Town, man. Chi-Town produces like the best female rap artists. There's a lot of good female rap artists right now coming up.
So can we put Erykah Badu as a MC?
No.
That's soul, man. That's R&B, fool.
Give me some bars that Erykah Badu said.
That's
in a manner of speaking, she is a poet. There's no doubt about that.
And
those words,
like
yeah.
Her influence in the culture is definitely there.
Okay, give me some bars.
Shit. I told you that's cheating.
Because she don't got none. Because she's not a rapper. But she is one of the goats. R&B.
Yeah, for sure. Like, and I put again. Ironically, that shows the amazement of Lauryn Hill, because Lauryn Hill would be on,
that
2
level.
lists. Yeah. Well, she's a goat, but on 2 lists. She would be on a hip hop rap list, and she'd be on an R&B list. There's just no doubt,
What about number 3?
So yeah. Who's you can't use Badu, so who's your number 3 now?
I mean, if you want to, it's your list. You could make that argument.
That's true. We're not trying to be too anal here.
If we do that, then I'm going to put Raphael Sadiq on mine.
Oh, that's funny.
Even though he's not a girl. My number 3 is actually Missy Elliott.
I just feel like there's somebody that's missing.
Oh, I'm sure it'll hit you.
Yeah, like next week sometime.
Probably. Hey, that's what shit happens, man.
Oh yeah.
What sucks is when that occurs, you remember something and you don't have nothing to write it down to make sure you remember it after you remember it, or you can't put a note in your phone. You're like, damn it, I forgot now again.
That's just how it works.
My number 3 would be where I'd put him. Sister Soldier.
Sister Soldier.
Yeah.
Sister Soldier's tight. She don't really got bars. She just says real shit. Her music sounds like speeches over beats.
That's true. Not always, but that makes a good point because you could say it's the producer when she actually has bars.
Yeah, but she's dope. That's a good number.
Oh, actually, she is dope, and actually, I want to change that. I don't want to take her off my list, but actually, I want to bump her down because there's someone I forgot because we haven't known her for this for the longest. But Queen Latifah, actually,
she's my number 4.
Yeah.
So Queen Latifah, your number 3.
Yeah, because we just don't remember her for her bars because she does so much more now. But that's where she started. She was it,
Yeah. Don't call me a bitch. Queen Latifah was tight.
So
yeah,
what
she's
about
my
Eve?
number 4.
And what about Remy Ma before she got locked up?
Eve rounds out my number 5. Remy Ma, I don't think she's as good as people think.
Well, she rolled with Pun, so that was kind of a cheating point. She got some extra points for just being around that.
Just being around Pun and being around Fat Joe.
Fat Joe and TS.
No, she's definitely top 10. She's just not in my top 5.
Yeah.
Eve rounds out my 5.
Well, mine was, like I said, Soldier was my number 4, and then my number 5. I just got to give the respect to the OG. So it's actually, I'd be going back. It'd either be going to be Salt and Pepper or MC Light, just because they, really cut the game for everybody else.
Yeah.
So nobody's gonna mention Beyonce.
No fool. Keep bringing up these R&B singers, man.
He said he was fucking with us, man. That's all good.
Jennifer Hudson.
He got scared. What happened? That's what happened, man. He got scared.
Yeah, I didn't get the response I was looking for.
He saw that.
Let me pull that back.
No, that ain't what it is. It's like you felt you were hearing yourself in the Lemonade album, and you're like, I gotta mention her, or she's gonna kick my ass.
Exactly.
The Lemonade album is, I have to say, is overhyped. Didn't Usher do that shit years before she did? But anyway,
what concept albums you mean?
Well, specifically that concept. Except Usher did it from the perspective of the dude who was cheating.
True.
Let it burn. Anyways. So, on to what we really came here to talk about. Anthony.
About trouble. No, sorry. We're here to talk about Roger's here to talk about a lot of stuff. But today, since we have Junior in residence, we were gonna do some health questions and nutrition questions. And then more importantly, how to accomplish those things while on a hood diet, or more so a hood budget. And a life full of government cheese.
I could chime in there on my broke ass.
Yeah. But what kicked it off is originally I was gonna have a topic because Lo and I have off and on and talked about a lot of health related stuff, diet related stuff, fad dieting, and a recent study was released on it, which is something I predicted, but the recent study was released on the ketogenic diet, in which the claims are, it's not claims because it's now actually a scientific data to prove it, is that the ketogenic diet and or its use today, we'll say that. Like what I mean by that is like it's fad at the moment. It has a possibility of producing a higher rate of heart disease and I think high blood pressure and a few other things. Basically the same stuff you get probably from an over, just consuming too much meat.
Yeah, and a lot of fats.
And fat, actually.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. I haven't heard that perspective actually. But let's talk about what the ketogenic diet is. Like, the ketogenic diet is basically like a really, really high fat, consuming most of your calories in fat, as opposed to the traditional American diet, which is high carb.
Mm-hmm.
which are, sugar, bread, rice. So we, they probably thought that from the beginning that like high fat diets, which a lot of people with hypertension or high blood pressure have, like they have high fat, high sugar diets, and that's how they develop all of that stuff. Like I'm sure initially when people came out with the ketogenic diet, that's kind of what they wanted to prove, is that like this is not something that's going to help the person with heart disease or any kind of heart issues, because that's what that's what's causing it. But
I'd say though that the originally ketogenic diet was an invention for as a treatment for epilepsy. That's what
I'm sure it's still used for that to this day.
And I don't know why that is. Like, what's this? What is it in epilepsy that the ketogenic diet or high fat contributes to? But they're controlling it. But yeah,
probably has to do with insulin.
Oh, it's insulin reduction of insulin. That makes sense. I suppose we're guessing.
Well, because pregnant causes your insulin to spike, right?
High sugar definitely makes our insulin spike, right? Mm-hmm. And with a ketogenic diet, we have like something like 5 to 10 to 15% sugar as opposed to 60. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's roughly 28. I think the recommended dose is roughly 28 grams of sugar a day at most.
So would you recommend the ketogenic diet as a long-term diet?
It's never recommended as a long-term diet. It's definitely like a periodic, except for epilepsy. I'm not 100%, but I believe that's like they definitely don't want that that insulin spike. They want to kind of step away from that.
What we should tell people, because if they've never heard of the ketogenic diet, is why people are doing it. It's not just a fad diet in the sense of like Atkins was for a time, though Atkins is very similar to ketogenic in some ways, but it's not like it was on Oprah and people just picked it up. It really is about I would say the popularization of an understanding of metabolic states, in the sense that people can change their metabolism. That's the theory, at least. And I'm talking about the popular version of the theory. And what I kind of speculate is that is actually where dieting is moving toward, is more of a science of understanding the body in the way maybe some sports health people focus on the body, which is that really it's just a constant state of metabolic management. And so there isn't any one diet. It's just, I need my body to do X or Y at this time, so I need to do these things. And since this body fluctuates, right? The metabolic state fluctuates. That's just my speculation. What do you think?
Well, I think it's less about. I think it's more about like what people are trying to combat. Chronic illness, right? Developing a chronic illness.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's like, where do we start? Like look at the traditional American diet, and what is that? That's burgers, hot dogs, that's fries.
The meat, like, the meat and potato, the classic meat and potato diet.
Yeah, lasagna. High pasta, high protein diet. That's basically what it ends up being. It's like a high protein, high carb, high fat diet, and it's all like 1,000 calories over their daily recommended to maintain weight. So everybody's kind of gaining weight and not really moving too much. Like everybody's at a desk or on their couch, or, you know what I mean? So you could definitely see a lot of these kind of forks in the road when it comes to people that are trying to be fit or that are fit and want to be healthier. They kind of look at different recommendations and kind of try to fit it to their system. For the ketogenic diet, it's more like 5% carbs, 20% protein, and 75% fat. Like, try to tell some random person to eat 75% of their diet as fat, they're going to look at you sideways. They're gonna be like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, how could I even do that?
Yeah, they were raised on their old school food pyramid model.
Just gonna have to gulp down a stick of butter.
And what's funny is that sometimes, like, some ketogenic platforms or whatever, they try to tell you that, like, okay, so you want to cook your bacon in butter and that's how you're going to get it. Like, I don't know if that's the best option.
Yeah, see,
there's
that
definitely other options to it.
Yeah, that's exactly right there. That's exactly when I started looking into ketogenic, right? Even more is Lo and I were talking about, I'm like, dude, I don't see how this is sustainable the way some of these people talk about it, like, and they're saying stupid shit like that, right? I was like, that's fucking crazy. Like, how the fuck can anyone do that and not end up with fucking some kind of arterial damage, or heart disease or high cholesterol or high blood pressure? It's like, I'm sure in the long term, anyone doing that shit is going to be fucking dead. It's just asking for coronary.
It's also genetic, right? Like, we either have, like, some of us can push our body to the limit to get some of these conditions, and some of us are just predisposed. Like, down the line, the last 5 generations of people have eaten the same diet, give or take, and they've all developed diabetes, or they've all developed high blood pressure that leads to heart disease. Like, it's just like something that you're kind of screwed with unless you know that, and then you change your habits from there. Which, if you're already in that perpetual cycle, it's kind of like you're shit out of luck. But if we take that model, like, okay, so I am predisposed to high blood pressure. I'm definitely not gonna sit on the couch and expect for my health to get better. Like, the majority of all of these things that, people want to get healthier by eating, like, that is definitely where it's at. We definitely need to eat, way less carbs in our diet. We definitely need to eat healthier food options. But it's so ridiculous how many directions we're being attacked from, because there is heavy metals that are in our drinking water and our food. There is mineral, basically all of these different toxicities in our environment, pollution, obviously. We have pesticides, we have, all of these different things that are coming at us from different angles. So if we don't have a predisposition genetically, then, we could be hit from, something like, oh man, my house was built before 1950s. So, the paint is probably lead underneath this paint. And if it starts shipping off, I could get exposed to lead and develop some condition, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like the ketogenic diet is one of these hypes where, they boast higher energy levels, and I think that's a big attractant, right? Is like they boast that the energy level is constant, as opposed to peaks and valleys when it comes to carbohydrate metabolism and energy levels.
Where, like, gosh, there's a lot here that we're jumping into with assumptions that other people know it. So we should probably explain some of that. Like, biologically, the way the carbs are short-term energy because it's the wrong kind of sugar, essentially, right?
Well,
it's not
that they're the wrong type of sugar. It's that our bodies are overloaded with the amount of sugar that we're consuming. So we have insulin that is used to pull sugar into our cells, like mostly our fat cells, where we end up storing a lot of the sugar. But excuse me, if we're exercising, we also have another mechanism for, you know, pulling a lot of that sugar into our muscles. But if we're sitting on the couch and, you know, our body is overloaded with insulin, eventually over time, our body can become desensitized to insulin, meaning that our body doesn't respond to the high levels of sugar like it's supposed to. It's supposed to pull all of that out of or a lot of that out of the blood and stop, you know, the damage that it could create. High levels of sugar in our blood is not good for us.
Right. So it's not just a diet thing; it's a lifestyle thing.
It's
but
100%.
Oh, go ahead.
100. He said it's 100%.
It's 100% a lifestyle thing. It's very, very difficult to just do it without exercising. To just change your diet and not exercise and be healthy.
Right. I wanted to double back a little bit back to what you were saying about the genetics.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that I've actually learned recently in the last few years about Polynesian people, specifically Samoan people. I think this is a good example of what you're talking about right now. So they did a study where Samoan people have this obesity gene, right? So we're like more likely to gain weight and more likely to hold on to the weight. So it's hard for us to lose the weight once we put it on. That goes back to our ancestors, blah, 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 the way we lived. Our bodies developed in a way to where we were supposed to, or to where it did run more efficiently. Meaning we have ran on less food, but, you know, our bodies ran the way they were supposed to. But on less. Fast track to now diabetes is like the #1 killer in all the islands and amongst our people. Because we're not doing the things that our lifestyles completely changed. We sit down, like you said, at desks every day, at our job every day. We come home and we sit on the couch in front of the TV every day, and we're eating more. And the food that we are eating are horrible for us.
100%. And it's happening everywhere, right? It's happening on the res, everywhere in poverty. Like, we're not taught in school, like, this is what we should be eating and avoid this, and make sure you're you know, counting your calories and making sure you're exercising every day and what exercises to do and make sure you're hydrated and, you know, all of these random things that we have to keep track of in our diet. But yeah, it's definitely that, right? Like we were conditioned, we were served a plate of food, right? At post-colonial times, we were served a different type of food that we were used to.
Yeah.
We were served a different lifestyle than what we were used to. And over time, our bodies have not really changed too much, meaning that we still require that high level of physical movement, like going to hunt and gather your food. And, you know, a lot of times we would eat for, you know, we would feast for, you know, one whole day, and then we would go a day or two without eating, or we would eat lighter, as in like we would eat whatever we were gathering. Like if we were growing crops, we would be able to eat that, sustain ourselves that way. And every, you know, maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, we would have meat.
Right.
Besides that, it would be, you know, small meals.
And now you fast forward to now, and you have that extra layer of colonialism on top of it. Now we have foods that we see as traditional that aren't, and that are killing us. So like you said, the res, what do they have? They have fried bread all the time.
Yeah, a different kind of start. Well, what's one thing is interesting is that you brought up genetics, not just you, though, but so did Junior. But I know recent studies are saying that genetics can actually be altered, not in the sense of like, you know, editing and shit like that. But what they're saying is intergenerationally, that there actually is your genetics change based on your lifestyle changes. So over a protracted period of time, your metabolic state can actually be an inherited thing. So typically speaking, it's reinforced obviously by socialization, but like, let's say if you had people with really great metabolisms and they're healthy, their child would end up with that. They wouldn't necessarily, it's not random like you have a kid that's going to grow up and be obese, we'll say. But what they've discovered is that, and the study wouldn't have come about, ironically, if not for like science, even though it's and fad shit, but is that they started doing studies of children of people that have like gastric bypass surgery. And I'm talking about they have the children after. And they discovered that those kids actually end up with genetically, their metabolism matches the metabolism of the post bypass body versus the basic obesity that they had previously.
So in the study, it's the woman who's gotten a gastric bypass that is incubating the baby and then having the baby, not like the father's.
Actually, it was the original study was of men, and that it would pass on within their genetic line,
in their sperm.
Yeah, because it just meant within generations. But that was one of the interesting things that goes into like the genetic memory idea, but also that you can change genetics within a short period of time. But also there's long-term changes too, like you were describing. Samoans may have a fat gene, right? But there's also a misunderstanding. It's one of the things I try and tell certain people that they misunderstand. It is like fat comes from three things. One is exactly like what Junior's saying, which is that we're just overeating. Right? There's just way too many, mostly carbs coming into it, and a sedentary lifestyle. You don't move around a lot. But the other thing is that is, if you're someone that actually puts fat on, that's actually genetic in relationship to survival as species.
Yeah.
You're more prone to put fat on because actually you're the survivor versus those that don't. So because then those are other people that no matter what they eat, they don't get fat at all. Well, who do you think starves first when there's no food? That's.
So for us, we developed the going long ranges through the ocean.
Mm-hmm. And it
long times without eating, right? That's what I'm saying about having this feast and then going days without eating, and then having that fat store to help you. Everybody's synonymous with bulking before the winter because the winter is more scarce.
Like the bear, yeah. There's also another one that you wouldn't know this one though, but actually, when I was in high school, actually I started like much younger, but I did swimming. And there's a thing called swimmer's fat, and it has to do with like the way a swimmer's body is. They actually almost none of them ever lose what we would think of as their baby fat, and what it is they develop a thin layer of fat that is larger than the normal person that would be like, it's very skinny. And it has to do with adapting to the cold.
Right.
That's why if you look at the bodies, they're never like super, super cut on any swimmer. They're a little rounded. That's what that is. That's that swimmer's fat.
Interesting.
So given all this stuff, what would you suggest as a balanced diet, like guidelines and shit?
Good call.
Junior, that question was directed
at you. To the professional in the room.
Somebody's trying to pull my attention over here, but
I'm sure she's worth every minute.
Definitely. So, first disclaimer is I'm not a doctor, so I can't really give you recommendations, but I think I could give you, or I could give you what has been recommended, in my studies, and more than that, just give an overview, right? Of like, I've kind of touched on it, right? Like the difficulty it is to be healthy.
Right.
It's not just, it's definitely not just eating the right foods, which is ridiculously important. But it's definitely the education. It's putting in the work to learning, your own body, because, some people have allergies to gluten, some people have allergies to dairy, you could basically have an allergy to anything. So, and a lot of times it's what we consume on a daily basis. Like for myself, I found out that I was allergic to dairy, which, as a kid, I used to literally down a gallon of milk.
Is it, and this is
You know
this
what I
is
mean?
this is allergic beyond like a lactose
Beyond the
intolerance?
sensitivity.
So it's not
And
lactose intolerance. You mean
so
actual allergy? Okay.
so it's there's like categories, right? There's a sensitivity, which means that you don't get like hives, or your throat doesn't close up. That's more of an allergy, right? Like a severe allergy, you eat peanuts and your throat closes up,
And,
and tries to stop more from coming in your body, and you could possibly die.
an anaphylactic reaction.
Sensitivity, yeah, an anaphylactic reaction. You have a sensitivity where, if you're consuming it day in and day out, eventually, it's definitely causing inflammation inside your body, inside your GI tract, and eventually it could cause issues, or it could cause issues right away with constipation or diarrhea, things that we might not say, oh, this is an extreme condition, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I have diarrhea every now and then, or I have constipation every now and then. But that over time, you end up holding on to more toxins, not being able to eliminate toxins, all of these different things. It's just such a complex thing.
Okay,
But
but all right.
what I
Let me
can
put
say
you this way.
is, yeah, go ahead.
Wait, no, go ahead. My bad. Cut you off too early.
What I can say is that we definitely have to eat organic and change the ratio of what we're eating. We definitely need to get look at what not just our recommended daily allowance for nutrients are, but our optimal, which is actually different. Most people don't know that. And try to get that from eating foods and supplement less. Meaning you try to get all of your B vitamins from fruits and vegetables. Meaning you try to get your vitamin C and, all of your micro and macro nutrients from foods.
Right.
It's very difficult and expensive, but that's pretty much what you have to do in conjunction with exercise in order to be healthy.
I just want to say that when I was doing my shit with the stuff that you gave me and I was going to the gym, those pounds were melting off. And muscles came back. Looking good, feeling good. But, then I got depressed and that all went away. That's a whole other thing. But yeah.
And that definitely plays a
Exercise,
huge
balance.
part in our body too. Like there's definitely studies that you could look up that talk about how depression and how, any kind of mental illness kind of brings us down and holds us back from being fully healthy. Affects us physiologically.
Well, I know it's also a catch
even
20.
self-esteem.
It's also a catch-22 because your body's ill health can actually induce those same states.
Yeah, it's
or
chicken
exasperate
situation.
them, right? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
But we 100% like exercise. Oh my God, it's so important. And like I know I'm definitely I definitely get tripped up in this like, oh, okay, I'm ready, I'm gonna start working out, and then I like go hard, and then I like injure myself, or I like just burn myself out, and I'm just like, ah, screw this. It's definitely a discipline where you have to gradually work yourself up to a certain level and do something very specific and something that you really like. A lot of doctors like to recommend that or ask you, like, do you play any sports? Do you do anything physical? Like, did you do anything like that in the past? You know, did you play softball, you know, basketball, whatever? And whatever that is, just do more of that. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like you have to go to Gold's Gym and start, you know, bulking up just like these, you know, bodybuilder type people, you know, like it's not like you have to get out there and just put on muscle and, you know, do that. That's all good to a certain extent, but everybody's going to be at a different level. And if you're exercising, that's 100% beneficial to you.
Right. Something's better than nothing.
100%.
My two things would have been basketball and boxing. But I can't play basketball anymore because I'm too fat. And nobody wants to box with me.
They want
Well,
get
we
fucked up.
were going good there for a little bit.
Yeah, for a little bit. Gotta get back on that.
And then what happened?
But that's funny that you talk about going hard and then quitting. Shit, I went hard last week. Fucking got some free weights. Like had my bands and shit. Brought them all to work, and I went hard out there on the patio once all the patients went to sleep. And my arm is fucked up now.
Yeah, man.
I don't have full motion of it anymore. Huh?
That definitely happens to the best of us. We all have that intention, like, oh man, like let's get back to where we were. You know what I mean? Like I know how much I used to do, so let's just do that.
Yeah.
And we don't remember the time that we were just chilling. You know, like it's been a month since I touched weights, and then I'm gonna go in there and try to do my same weight. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, one of the big epiphanies of my life as I've been getting older and more out of shape is that there is a big difference between knowledge and ability. I still have all the knowledge of the shit that I used to do, but I'm coming to the realization that I no longer can do it. Get my ass kicked if I fought right now.
I would only argue that we just have to change, you know, our expectations, right? Like we can't expect to be exactly where we were by working out for a week. Like the time that you took to get out of shape is probably around the same amount of time that you're going to have to take to get back into shape. There's definitely like less, you know, it's just about that gradual escalation.
Small improvements.
And we're, you know, we have to face the fact that we're aging and we're not going to be at the same healing speed. We're not going to be at the, you know, at the same recovery speed and all of that we were at 20 years old or 17 years old, where we had no idea what a recovery day was.
Yeah, and we'll never be as good as we were when we were 22.
I wouldn't say that. We got the brains and the experience.
Be at 32. No, but when you peak, you peak. There's a reason why boxers have a short lifespan as far as their career goes.
It's not because of the hits to the head. It's not that.
Well, nobody goes through their prime at like 52. Yeah, you go through your prime in your 20s and early 30s.
I'm sure you could whoop on some younger kids because you got just certain things that you learned over the years that they haven't learned.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm still saying physically wise.
Oh, hell yeah.
If I'm 33, I can't get into the best shape that I would have been at 22. I have to get in the best shape that I could be at 33. I was just speaking in terms of expectations.
Yeah, definitely. But we can get pretty close, man. Surprisingly. We're definitely going to hit roadblocks. We're definitely going to hit blocks where we're like, okay, I definitely am not going to be as fast. but I'm gonna get as fast as I possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. I hear you.
Motivation is huge though. Like your state of mind is such a big part of health and fitness in general. Oh man.
That's what sucks is that when you have it compounded with mental illness, like I do.
Where your motivation fluctuates, or your will even to motivate, or motivation to will, however you want to do it. Chicken and egg
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, I go through moments where I'm super motivated, but most of the time, very indifferent. Man, you should work out. I really should, but I don't give a fuck.
For
It is
what?
what it is. All we can do is keep trying, right?
Definitely. Because literally, like, I'm seeing I'm seeing the patterns of people that I've seen growing up, right? The people that have always been moving, the people that have never stopped moving from the day they started working till the day they stopped working and beyond. They're still moving. Those are the people that are straight. You know, those are the ones with the least amount of health problems, as opposed to the alternative, which is the person who's was working, but again, a kind of sedentary job, and they're just slowly deteriorating because they don't have a external source of physical movement outside of work, or they just think that's dumb or a waste of their time. They're all about that paper or whatever. They deteriorate. They deteriorate faster because they have higher stress levels. They don't have exercise to help them with their stress. So they end up getting sick, having all kinds of medical conditions.
So what sucks is that like again, we're talking from the hood space. It's very difficult to do it. Strangely enough, like in that, like for example, like my catch-22 is my career, if you want to call it a career, my skill set is based in graphics. And so what does that mean? I sit on my ass all day in front of a computer drawing, doing graphics, which is totally the worst for you. Like I remember when I was doing it on a regular basis, the one thing I had to do is like I didn't even really take lunches. My lunches I'd just bring back to my desk, but my lunches just involved taking a walk because it was just unhealthy, the entire experience.
Yeah, man.
And it's also about time management skills, right? Like that's what I've been learning in my studies and trying to balance home and life and health and all that while trying to excel in my studies. You know what I mean? So like you definitely have to learn that, and that's another thing that we're not taught growing up. Is maybe if you go to private school they teach you that type of stuff, but um, managing your time to where you're able to exercise, you're able to care for your body, your hygiene, your nutrition, your hydration, um, as well as be as productive as possible while you're on task. There's tons of different theories on that. You could do incremental studying with 30 minutes on, 10 minutes off, 30 minutes on, 10 minutes off. And those 10 minutes, you're literally nowhere near your desk. You're out, you're moving, you're doing something physical, or you're, taking care of something, your stress levels, anything like that. There's also, stand-up desks that a lot of people are moving towards.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I'm sitting next to I got this it's like a desk, but it's also a bike.
Oh,
So
nice.
like it has a desk platform with pedals on the bottom, and like I used it when I first got it, and I haven't really put my attention. It ended up being like a coat rack, for a while, but hopefully I could get back to it and I could use it again. But like, yeah, definitely keep trying because, like I said, I didn't use it for a minute, but hopefully I'll be able to be motivated to use it some more when I'm studying.
Yes,
Hmm.
sir.
Can't hear
It's
you,
one
man.
hundred percent. It's 100% about trying though. Like if you keep trying, that's great.
Because eventually you'll catch on. Any what do they say? Like if you do something enough times, it becomes habitual, and then once it becomes
Definitely.
habitualized, it can rocket it up in a different direction. Or ratchet it up, I should say.
One of the things I started doing is I do like stretches. So like
Like
every
in
30 minutes
between.
or an hour, yeah, I'll like step away and then I'll just do like a couple of sets of stretches. Stretch out my hips and shit so they don't lock up.
Yeah.
That's actually really good, man. Like I remember one of the times, the second I've had two periods where I said I was really at my best health. Um, One was actually in college. My sister and I took a stretching class every day, like in the morning, and then I'd never done that because I've always been the guy that like I said, I snap, crackle, and pop all my joints and shit because I've always been stiff and just not very flexible. But after I took that class, I was like, man, I actually was much more awake the rest of the day and less injury prone, for example. So,
Yeah.
For me, I've had a real challenge with staying hydrated. Like when trying to be really productive, it just slips my mind, and I end up going like the whole day drinking like not even a quarter of what I'm supposed to be drinking. And I definitely feel the side effects after a couple days doing that.
That's funny if you say that because you're the reason why I drink a shitload of water now.
Yeah, man.
Like
Like
2 gallons a
what's
day.
funny is that a lot of people say that doctors make the worst patients.
they
It's
also
not that, and we also talked about knowing the information, but implementing is another thing, right?
word.
Yeah. Story of my life.
Yeah, it's definitely like a lifelong thing. It's not like, oh well, I know I used to do it as a kid, so I'm gonna be able to do it for the rest of my life. But no way.
As
It's
far
maintenance.
as just to check off another excuse, money. I
Yeah.
use that
How
money.
do you navigate this on your poor? How do you
Yeah,
get healthy when you're poor? You any
that's
recommendations there?
if you answer that question, you get the Nobel Peace Prize. I'm pretty sure
Well, I know
because
again when I was doing my shit, and I realize I'm speaking as a fat ass motherfucker right now. But when I was on my shit, and I was broke as fuck, and I was still losing weight, there's certain compromises you have to make. Obviously, you can't probably buy organic all the time, but that doesn't mean you still can't buy, the proper amount of fucking vegetables and meat and have a, well balanced diet. And you'll find when you
100%,
start cutting off the sugars and the shit that you usually eat, that it kind of evens out.
big time.
If you're
What's
exercising and you're eating right, then you're eating less, you're spending less, and you're spending it on the right amounts of food, which will get you more. So it all kind of balances out.
100% compromise is a huge thing because obviously, like if I'm a if I'm a single mother with 5 kids and no dad in the picture, like no other income coming in, just mine, or food stamps or whatever, like I have to feed all of us, not just myself, eat healthy and spend all of my money on that. Like you have to work with what you have. One of the biggest things is adding something while eliminating another. Um, we definitely have to get away from drinking sugary beverages with our food. And what's awesome is that our body adapts
They
to
pair so well.
they pair so well. They do, and that's why so many of us consume them and have as much sugar in our drinks in our arteries. You know what I mean? Like that's just how it is. We eat our bread, rice, and soda all in the same drink, and they all turn into sugar. So,
Yeah, I know that's definitely
but
been a hard convince for like particularly the older generation. Like my mom's in her 70s. I'd say that the one of the reasons she's still in really good shape for someone in her 70s is because she always, like you said, was always moving and doing stuff. You know, in fact, I'd say she only became sedentary very recently, and even then, it's limited. But she still ended up with diabetes, and trying to convince her that certain things like what actually falls in on the sugar scale is impossible almost. Like, because to her the only sugar is sugar, and I'm like, no, bread is sugar. I'm like, that's sugar. I'm like, your wine is sugar. You know, all these things are sugar. These things you're consuming, I go, that's all sugar. And so it became a real battle to
unteach or to relearn.
what? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Bitch.
And then they just point to the next person in their family, like, well, my uncle lived to be 96, and he's eating the same foods that I'm eating.
Right.
Yeah.
It can't be that. But another good thing that we could do is, you know, I repeat this a million times, but we have to educate ourselves, because like we could go to the store and we could get all the vegetables that we need to eat for the month or whatever, for the week, and we cook it the wrong way and we lose all of its nutritional value, or
Oh,
all that we wanted to get out of it. So
because
we have to educate ourselves on the proper way to maximize a specific vitamin or mineral that we want to get out of the food by cooking it a certain way.
Yeah,
Like,
don't suck through your vegetables for 20 minutes and think you're getting all the nutrients.
don't boil your vegetables, period. Don't over steam your vegetables. Don't, there's certain, it's just some foods you could eat raw and some foods you have to cook. Like spinach, you'll get certain minerals if you cook them as opposed to raw, or vice versa.
Yeah, man.
And then you can't eat. Uh, See, it's almost like telling somebody like you have to learn calculus and you have to live life through calculus. All your decisions need to be based on calculus, period.
like doing math,
Because
like calorie counting kind of stuff.
no, just like you have to learn this whole other language and mechanism to doing things and put that into action to live a healthy life and to survive into old age. Like, um, you can't eat this, you have to watch out, combining certain supplements or foods, because you'll only get one over the other, like calcium and magnesium. You'll only be able to absorb one or the other because they compete with one another. So I'm telling you, it's just like you have to learn this whole other language and you have to live life through this other language while you're living your life through English or Spanish or whatever other language you speak.
Yeah, it's definitely
It's the language of food.
going to be a curb that spans across generations. It's not going to happen all in one go.
And I'm not the
Especially
best
when you're talking about
person for
lifestyle
this
change.
I'm not the best person for this speech. I'm like making it so daunting and like It's impossible, but it's definitely possible.
It's impossible. You're never going to get healthy. Fuck it.
Yeah, just give up now.
Walk away.
It's
Just
too much.
walk away.
No, but like you said, you go little by little. You do what you can. At least, you know.
Keep trying. Keep pushing.
Eventually,
Don't just say
hopefully, the
fuck it and go
culture will
McDonald's.
shift. You know what's interesting? Speaking of different cultures, you know, in Japan, because they also live a sedentary life, that their companies have like exercise time.
Yeah, don't they
before
like
they
what
work.
the, yeah, don't
Yeah,
they
you get up
exercise right in the morning? Yeah.
doing these, yeah, and they do it in the morning.
Yeah, right before work.
Yeah,
It's like you're on shift, but you have to do your exercises.
yeah, they're like a bunch of fools in suits doing
I know
aerobics.
I know they do something similar in China as well, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it goes across a couple of Asian countries because I think they do it in Korea too, or at least some places.
That's smart.
And they have higher productivity and they have all this stuff.
Well, they also consume a lot of antidepressants.
And they also could
So
talk
it's
about
not all
rice.
good.
But the exercise part is definitely a plus in that system. Man, I wish I wasn't so lazy when I was young.
Little key points. Increase your fiber. Increase hydration. Decrease your carbs that you're taking in. Don't drink soda. Remember that bread, tortilla, rice all turns into sugar. Read your food labels, learn all that stuff, and try to gauge your exposure to certain heavy metals like raw fish and mercury and rice and chicken with arsenic.
Oh, chicken has arsenic?
Sure
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you should check that out. It's pretty.
Man, I want to
pretty
hear
cool
that
fact.
shit. Eat some chicken.
You're ruining everything.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what what we all look at each other in class like. What can we eat? Tell me that. Let's start there.
Let me buy a chicken off of you.
Go for it. You could have the roosters.
Fuck
You could eat
that.
roosters, right?
I can eat anything, but nah, I don't want to own a rooster. That was a good little period on this subject. We
A little
have
sliver of it.
We have a few. Well, when you have time, whenever, I want you to send that slide to me, and you just go through the whole workshop that you do.
I'll be right back, guys. Continue with that.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah, definitely. If we get kind of like a next week, we're gonna do this conversation. I would have came with some good facts.
Well, you came with some good shit. Now that was dope.
Better supporting evidence.
But we're still going. We're still going. So,
Yeah.
little time. Let's round this out. Shit, I know what I want to talk about. So, going back to our last conversation on appropriation.
Music.
Yeah, but really just appropriation. It's a weird segue. It's not really a segue. So there was the shit that went down in the Polynesian community. There is a kava place, I think in Florida. They called themselves Bula Nation. Bula is like a greeting from Fiji. They copyrighted that shit. They trademarked that shit.
They trademarked kava?
Yeah, they trademarked Bula and kava.
What?
And before that, they had the shit where they trademarked Aloha and Poke.
Like the words?
In Chicago, yeah.
Holy
Like, you
sheep shit.
motherfuckers are going to take our shit, profit off of it, and then try and own it like it's yours?
Apparently.
How do you trademark Aloha? How do you trademark Poke? That's been a fucking islander dish for thousands of years. But you put some sriracha on that shit, all of a sudden it's yours. Bitch, please.
Yeah. So I don't even know what to say to that. Like,
The Kava thing was
yeah,
really
but
depressing. Like, fuck.
the gall on these people is definitely like, what the fuck, dude? Where are you gonna stop? We know you have no culture. We know you're hungry for it, but why? Why are you gonna go to that extent?
Yeah. We know you're not cool. You guys are kind of corny.
Very.
And you, and you wish you were fly, but no, you can't have our shit. If you want to make poke and sell it, cool. If you want to sell kava and do whatever shit you want to do it and divorce it from its spiritual roots, go ahead and make it into something else. Make it yours. Keep buying that shit from the seas and contributing to our economy. Go for it. But to own it, to own the word, to own the bula, even though the kava that they got isn't even from Fiji, it's from Vanuatu. Fucking dicks. It's just
It's the American way.
I don't get where it stops, man. Where does it stop? Why don't people see
It
a
doesn't.
problem with it? Doesn't matter if it's headdresses or logos on a sports team or a bowl of fucking fish. That shit is wrong. Yeah,
But
I
what
just
can
thought
you
that was cool.
tell? What can you tell a person that doesn't understand? What's the big deal? It's just a plant.
That's the thing.
It's that was hundreds of years ago that they used that as a traditional medicine. It's a They used to use coffee. They used to use tobacco. Now we could use it and smoke it. Nobody argues about that.
Or what's better is, well, you're, making this complaint over the internet right now. That's white appropriation. You're appropriating white culture. You heard that one?
I have not.
This racial game is so fucked up, man, and it's not fair because even if we wanted to do the same type of shit back to white people, it doesn't hurt them as much.
They could give a shit.
How do you mock a white person?
Yeah, I've like we've had this conversation. Like, is honky a derogatory term? I think that's as far as I got.
Yeah, honky cracker. I don't
And
think
they
it
use
doesn't
that.
sting as much.
Yeah, they use that like honky tonk is like their thing. So that doesn't even work.
Yeah, cracker is something that annoys them, but it doesn't hurt them. Or like another thing in the news was there was a Mexican restaurant in LA, a chain called Illegal Tacos. Called
Owned by a white
Illegal
guy.
Tacos, and they dress in like sombreros and shit, and they honored the cops and all that stuff. But what would be the equivalent of that?
I don't know, man.
Cracker
Because like
Barrel?
even like because like even the people that murdered the most amount of settlers, they the military uses them as like badges of honor, like Tecumseh,
Yeah, right. There's generals named
which
after him.
just fucking baffles the shit out of me. Like they're just so lost. They don't even know where to start or end.
Yeah, it's not fair. We need to find a way to like hurt white people's feelings.
Our goal in life.
That's my goal in life. Like, there has to be an equivalent. The only thing that works is racist. White people hate when you
Meaning
call
what?
them racist.
Oh,
Even when they are racist, they hate being called that shit.
because it puts them in a box.
Yeah, I'm not fucking racist. I'm a fucking racist. Blah, 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 blah. They'll fucking get heated and shit. all in their feelings. But that's the only way. That's the only word.
Maybe through our actions. Continuously breeding until they're outbred, and then that's really their fear right now.
But see, that doesn't work, right? As we see right now.
Meaning that we have the numbers.
A lot of minorities voted for Trump. Trump still has like 30 40, almost 40 or in the 40s approval rate. White people only make up like 30-something% of the country, I think.
But they're the
or the voters or whatever.
30% of the voters?
I think I might have that wrong. I know they definitely don't make up 30% of the country.
Yeah.
But either way, it's 40% of Latinos voted for him. I know a hell of Samoans voted for him. Asians voted for him. Like, come on.
Blacks for Trump.
Women voted for him.
Well, they're trying to backtrack now.
Like, it's bigger than that. That's what I'm saying. The racial game's fucked up.
Yeah, what's fucked up is it's not an even split. Like, okay, brown is a brown vote. Nope.
Yeah. I like the Harry Kondobalu's breakdown of that shit. Like 2045 was a magical number, right? When white people would become the minority in the country.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, that only works if it's like 49% white people and 51% everyone else. It doesn't work like that. You'll still be the majority. You'll still be the majority in the voting block. The culture is still yours. Like everything. Don't matter if we outnumber them. Culture has to shift.
And a lot of people can say that it's already shifted. Yet, meaning that like black culture is damn near mainstream and in everybody's household. But like politically, that's very different.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean shit. Culture needs to be
still getting. Everybody's still getting their who to vote for at church.
Yeah, that's horrible. That's the reason why a lot of Samoan people vote for him. Because a lot of Samoan people are religious. And the evangelical crowd is all Republican all the time. And it's very easy the way that they manipulate people, because all they do is get up on their little pulpits and talk about gays and Islamic people coming over and the destruction of Christian values. And they point to hip hop too. And people fall for it because they see it. And for some reason, they see it as a problem. I think it's very similar to why you see so many minorities supporting these right-wing fools too nowadays. So same lines, right?
What gets me though, like this motherfucker says they're rapists and murderers. They're sending their worst people. And they know who the fuck's coming. Like if I'm a brown person, I know my cousin and their family are coming from Mexico, like I know that they're not rapists and murderers, yet I'm gonna believe this guy?
Yeah. I'm gonna identify with them over my own people, my own family.
Like, who's sending these people? These people are choosing to leave. They're not like, oh, I'm on a mission. Sent by the Mexican government.
That's what they believe, though.
But they believe that shit like wholeheartedly. Like this guy's, he's the president. He's telling me the real truth.
That shit's been around for a long time, especially on the college campuses. Like I remember going to Mitchell meetings with the homies back in the day, and there would be like anti-Mecha propaganda talking about the Reconquista, this conspiracy of Mexicans coming from over the border to reconquer America in the name of Mexico. Like, I don't know, it's full on idiocy, and yeah, I don't get why so many brown people are falling for it now. But I do think that a lot of it has to do with just how fast the culture has been shifting towards like leftist stuff, because that's their hook line, right? Is they go after Muslims, they go after women and feminists, they go after gays and transgender people, they go after all these things that these people don't understand and have no relationship with, and for some reason that's enough to
God
convince them.
tells them that's the devil.
It's not even God. Like a lot of them too. I mean, a lot of it is God. A lot of it is God. A lot of it is Christianity and all that bullshit that goes with it. And a lot of it is just a bunch of frail
Masculine
dudes.
fear?
Yeah.
Yeah, masculine fear.
They're trying to feminize us. Why? Because they want you to talk about your problems. Shut the fuck up. Stop trying to kill everybody. Maybe you should get that shit off your chest. Be a little bit more free. But yeah, a lot of it is that.
I still have to go back to that you just have to put it on defunding of education. It's a systematic thing to keep everybody subservient and dumb. Ready to say, yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I think that's part of it. I think a big part of it too is just the way people communicate right now. I think it's social media, aggregated systems and shit like that. Like if you go into YouTube, right? You click on some right-wing political video and you go back to your homepage, all of a sudden it's filled with a bunch of right-wing political videos. And now all of a sudden you're in this bubble.
Yeah.
And you're getting these constant feeds of this information. And nobody is really talking to you about it except other people in this bubble online. That's the same reason why we have, like, there was a moment where the flat earther thing was so big. Some video went viral and all of a sudden these people got sucked into this conspiracy world and started believing that the earth was flat.
Yeah. But they had the whole thing was they had celebrities that were talking. That's the biggest thing, right? Like when celebrities kind of back some of this stuff, they spread it even more.
Yeah, and they're not.
Kyrie Irving saying like, "Yeah, it's flat."
Yeah, they're not immune to this thing either. I'm pretty sure they get sucked into it like everyone else. But again, it's social media, because back in the day, you wouldn't know what Kyrie Irving thinks about shit unless he had a microphone in his face at the end of a game.
Yeah.
Now this motherfucker's sending out tweets that the world is flat. Fucking dumbass. Well, how come if I get a microscope or binoculars and I look like, shut the fuck up? You can see the curve.
Read a book.
I know. Read a book. Did you go to school? I swear we learned this shit.
He comes from an educated family.
Fuck that. But yeah, man, it's a crazy game. I don't think this fool's coming back. So, you got anything else? Should we just end it?
I think we're good, man. Till next week.
Till next week.